Jamie from Inky&Scrappy back with my Ink Road Stamps Design Team creation, Inked Juny June 2024, and the Yes Girl stamp sets. Be the Flame. So to start this one, I'm bringing in some Lunar paste. You can now find them in the Ink Road shop. Laura just got a whole bunch of them in, and I've been enjoying playing with them for a little while now. I did my Let's Start Stamping series. I did some stenciling with some paste. So if you're interested in real time, go check that one out. I might have done 4 backgrounds. Yeah, it was, I think, episode 17. Anyways, back to this one. So I'm going to keep some of this in real time. Let me know if you like it like this, where I leave some of it in real time and I speed up the rest, because, you know, cards take me a long time, but sometimes the techniques are nice to watch in real time. So, any hoosers, this one, I started with that, I think this one is Slippery When Wet Yellow, and then I brought in a red. So when I got my Lunar paste, I picked a rainbow of colors that I didn't need the whole rainbow for. I hope that makes sense. You know, so I could buy fewer but get similar, you know, I could mix colors if I needed to. So hence the red. So I got this, I think this is Love Struck Red, possibly. Anyways, so I got red and yellow because they make orange, and then a blue because blue and yellow make green. I did get a teal because, you know, I like teal. And then I might have gotten a purple, even though red and blue make purple, you know. So my idea with this one was to kind of create the illusion of flames. And so that's kind of why I'm going with my red on the bottom, yellow, and then blue, but kind of working a little bit of that in as we go here, because I want my flames to be varied. So the stencil that I'm using is from Hero Arts. It was a 2-pack at Joann's. I got it a while ago. I think it is still available, possibly, at Joann's. Don't quote me on that, though. So for this one, I'm bringing in an old key card for a hotel. It is probably my favorite for doing stenciling like this, doing the full back stenciling. I didn't get nearly as much. If you watched my episode 17 of the Let's Start Stamping series, I definitely had some, like, more overage of stamping. I struggled with that bigger one from scrapbook.com, and I kind of like this one. So I flipped it over so I could just pick up the stuff that was on extra over the top and smooth it all out. This way I didn't worry about mixing it and making more of a muddy look to it. So once I had this up, then I'm just going to peel this up and back, and I loved how this one turned out. It had the reds and the yellows that kind of bled into an orangish tone. It had some blues in there, kind of like a hot fire will have the blue at the tip, and that was what I was going for. I loved how this one overall turned out, and it's Lunar paste, so it's extra, almost foil looking. I hope that makes sense. But I have all this leftover paste, and I don't like to waste anything, so I just came back in and went over this one again, and then cleaned up whatever was sitting around there. This one was definitely more mixed bag. Granted, when it dries, you can still see the red and the yellow that haven't mixed, so you still get, it's a lot more subtle on this style of stencil. But I also, you know, I was like, well, I've got extra, so I just threw it on a piece of scratch paper here and let it dry out, and then I'll either die cut from it or, you know, come up with something for a background. I hate wasting any of that product. So I set those off to the side, went and washed everything, because you have to make sure everything gets washed right away with paste, otherwise you will ruin your stencils. So I decided I didn't want to cover up all of that glorious paste background. So I'm bringing in a piece of vellum here, and then I'm going to stamp on it with my sentiment. And I measured out how big my other image was. I'm coming in with VersaFine Onyx black ink here. I'm just going to stamp that out. It stamped well. Oh, it did not stamp well the first time. I had to restamp it. Luckily, it didn't move. Sometimes it wiggles because it sticks. And then, but it stamped well the second time. I'm going to pull that out of my stamp platform here. And then I'm going to bring in this black sparkle embossing powder from Ranger. You know, I picked it up on clearance. This one I picked because it has blues, reds, and yellows in it. So it kind of has some colors to it, and it's not just my personal mixed black holographic one that I've created on my own. So I kind of liked that this one had some colored glitter to it. And then of course I'm going to heat set that with my heat tool. I love this. Is my favorite part of embossing, is watching it turn. I know, it's like magic. Or, you know, yeah. So I stamped my image with some Fawn Jet Black Premium ink. It's great for alcohol marker coloring and or watercoloring. I pulled out, I did include the colors that I'm coloring with today. I kept it fairly simple. So if you were interested, there are my Ohuhu marker colors. Now, I'm not great at coloring flowers. I say this all the time. It's not my thing. So I kind of stick with, I wanted the flowers to kind of look like the flames in the background. So I'm sticking to the darkest on the center here, kind of just feathering it out a little bit, following those lines. And then I'm going to come in with my mid-tone, which is really my lighter tone, on my pinks here. I didn't bring in an orange because I'm mixing my colors on my flowers. I didn't want to have to try to get an orange that was going to go with the red and the yellow. And then I'm bringing in that darker shade of yellow, and I'm going to come in from the tips and work my way down into that second tone of red. I decided I didn't work it out far enough. You know, when I was doing the yellow, I'm like, this is a lot of yellow. So, of course, I knew I was coming back in with that mid-tone red. I say mid-tone because it's my lighter tone, but usually I use 3. And it was probably the middle of the road red that I used. So I'm just coming back in with that mid-tone one and kind of pulling in a little bit more to the yellow to get more of an orange look there and not be so yellow on, so much yellow. I hope that makes sense. And then coming back in again with the yellow to just finish blending that all together. Now, my background has the blue, so I wanted to bring in some blue. So I'm just going to bring in the blue for my foliage here. Kind of, I don't know, I think you can get blue tinted. I think it's green with like a frost on it. But I decided to do the blue on the foliage here, and then I was going to do a blue rose here. And I, decided it was going to be too much blue starkness, and so I kind of left it because I was on the fence here. I definitely was thinking about going blue on the rose. So I'm bringing in my darker brown here, adding my cheekbone highlights, all of those things wherever I thought there was going to be more of a drop shadow. Then I'm going to come in with my lighter brown tone and then color over that, kind of helping to blend it into the rest of it. Working it in, sometimes you have to go multiple times to work it in. I did need to bring the image closer up to my face so I can make sure I was coloring everything that I needed to color it. Yeah. And this was where I was like, yeah, I colored outside the lines. It happens. A white gel pen works well. I just had I had the 0.05 next to me. My 0.08 or 10 was laying next to the Brother Scan and Cut, so I did come in later before I cut it with the Brother Scan and Cut and cleaned up those lines a little bit. I did do the rose as solid red. I didn't do a fire and ice rose, I guess. So my background was dry by the time I was all done with all the things. I may have stepped away. I don't remember. I think I did it all in one sitting, which is odd for me, but it happens. And yes, the sun is now in that spot that plays with my workspace for recording in the afternoon. I'm sorry. It is what it is. So I brought in some black glitter cardstock. I wanted glittery glitzy to go with that embossing powder, but I didn't want to waste it, so of course I always cut out the middle if I can do that. And then I'm just going to hand cut down my background here for 2 reasons. I don't think it would have cut well with, it may have cut okay with a thin stack die cut, but I was afraid because of the thickness that it might not. Plus, it probably wasn't all the way dry. Yeah, it wasn't because it left some on my thing. See, I knew I did it all in one sitting. Anyways, so I just brought in the cutter and cut it down to what I needed it to be. I'm also going to cut some of the scrap pieces down here to coordinate on the inside. So I just kind of wanted to make it so it was straight. So once I have that cut and the other one, I'm just going to make sure that this is going to line up okay. I like how this is looking overall. It kind of gives me an idea of where I'm going. So I'm going to bring in my card base here and pop on that card front. I did end up bringing doubles or like a tape runner in instead of glue on this one, just because this glitter cardstock is kind of a plasticky back and it doesn't, I don't know if glue takes very well to it. I just, you know, it was what was close at hand. Anyways, you know, pictures for design team stuff, as always. For my background, I did bring in glue. I probably should have done a full adhesive score style tape, at least on the four corners to help hold this down because it is paste. It tends to curl a little bit. I did pull it out the other day and it was starting to curl, so I did end up gluing it down again and putting some weight on top to make it stick a little bit better. So for my, with the joy of editing, you put some double-sided foam adhesive on the back, and then I'm going to take my glue and just go on the back of my image for my vellum piece, and then dot carefully over the sentiment only. This is how you can add your vellum to your card without having that adhesive show through. It's the simplest way to do it. There's some other adhesives out there that work okay for it, and they're not supposed to show through. A lot of them still ultimately show through. Or you can run the whole sheet through a sticker style maker, and then it'll all stick the same. But I like doing it this way. So I was not happy with how her lips were. I think I tried to color them red over the top and it just didn't work. And so then I brought in a silver, I think this one is a silver gel pen, or it was the Stardust pen. It might be the Stardust pen because I was thinking it was, yeah, it's the Stardust pen. So I wasn't happy with how her lips turned out. So I'm bringing in a red jelly roll pen, and then this one's I think a red glitter one, and so I did add some lips to that one, or just went over the lips with the red, and then they popped just a little bit more, and I liked the look of that one. So at this point, I think I'm done with the card on the front. So now to come in and finish the inside. So that strip of paper I cut down, I'm just going to glue that on to the bottom here. It's going to hang out on both sides. That's okay. I will cut it down after it dries. It's easier to cut it straight off. I hope that makes sense. I'm bringing in the sentiment from Yes Girl. Of course, there is a sweary word on this one, so I will not read it all the way. Keep going, you absolute beautiful baby, basically is what it says. So it's just a lovely encouragement card. And I like how this one turned out. I love that the gels kind of look like the flames. And so there is my finished and completed card for today. I hope you guys check out Ink Road Stamps and all she has to offer. Have a great one. Bye!